All right, if you're a contractor in the Lone Star State, you've probably waded through your fair share of paperwork. But there's this one thing that trips up so many people: contractor bonds. Do you really need a state level one? Where in the world do you even start? Well, we're going to clear all that up right now. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here it is, the big question. You're trying to get your projects lined up, you're dealing with permits, and then bam, this bond question comes up. Does the state of Texas actually make you get a contractor bond to do your job?
The answer, in one big, beautiful word, is no. Seriously, if you have been tearing your hair out searching for some official, statewide Texas contractor bond, you can stop. It doesn't exist. It's one of the most common myths out there. And, it's a classic Texas move, doing things a little differently. Most states have one central rule, but here, the entire system for general contractors is run locally. So what does that actually mean when you're trying to get to work?
Well, that brings us right here. If the state isn't in charge, who is? The answer is your local city hall or your county permitting office. That's where the real rules live and breathe. And just look at this. It's all over the map. The bond you need in Houston, totally different from what they ask for in San Antonio. You might need a $25,000 bond for a job in Dallas and then drive an hour away and only need a $5,000 one. It's kind of wild, right? And this is exactly why you can't assume anything. You've got to check with the local folks every single time.
Okay, so that covers general contractors. But what if you're a specialty trade? An electrician, a plumber, an HVAC technician? Well, the state does have something to say about that. But, and this is super important, it's not about bonds.
So here's the key difference, and it's actually pretty simple when you lay it out like this. If you're a general contractor, the words you need to remember are bond and city. But if you're in a specialty trade, think insurance and state. The state, usually through the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, the TDLR, steps in and says you need liability insurance, not a surety bond.
And they're not kidding around. We're talking a minimum of $300,000 in liability insurance for HVAC techs, electricians, and plumbers. So why do they do this? It's all about protecting the public, making sure there's a safety net if something goes wrong on a job. For these specific trades, the state just decided that insurance was the best tool for that, instead of a bond.
We keep saying Texas does things its own way, but just how different is it, really? Let's zoom out for a second and see how the Texas system stacks up against other big states.
This is where it really clicks, and you start to see why this whole thing can feel a bit confusing if you're used to how other states operate. I mean, look at this. You've got California, Florida, Georgia. They all have one system, statewide. You get your one state license, your one state bond, and you are good to go. And then there's Texas, the total outlier. It's a system that gives a ton of control to the local level, but man, it definitely means a lot more legwork for you, the contractor.
Okay, that's enough of the why. Let's get to the how. This is your game plan. We've busted the myths, so now let's walk through the exact steps to get bonded the right way and get back to work.
Honestly, it just boils down to these three simple things. First, and this is the absolute most important part, you have to call the city or county permitting office where your project is. Ask them for their exact bond requirement. Don't guess. Second, get your basic business info together, your business name, address, simple stuff. And finally, you take that information to a surety provider to get your quote. And hey, to make that last step super easy, you can get a free, no-obligation quote in just a few minutes over at buysuretybonds.com. So, let's recap. Forget the statewide myth. Focus on your local city's rules. Follow these three simple steps. Getting your Texas contractor bond really doesn't have to be a headache. Thanks for watching.